Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Firstly, I would like to thank Imam Saab for inviting me in such an honorable gathering, a gathering that is blessed, for granting me the opportunity to come here and say a few words in front of you, blessed brothers. May Allah the Almighty give us all the ability to say the truth and to say that which will guide us to the straight path. With regards to tonight, we all probably know that it's 15th of Sha'ban, which is also known as Laylatul Bara'ah. Now, in short, with regards to this night, majority of the narrations, they are weak. Hence, you'll get a lot of people, they'll try to dismiss the night. However, there's a principle according to the scholars, especially the scholars of Hadith. And they mention that when there are an overwhelming majority of narrations, so there are a lot of narrations, even though they are weak, but because there are so many, that's why, there's some kind of weight in this night. And on top of that, they say no matter if a narration is weak, when it is to do with virtue, then we can act upon that. Why? Because obviously a virtuous act is something good. We've come to this world to do good deeds, good acts, so why should we not carry out good acts? But the condition is, when we act upon weak narrations, then we cannot believe it to be from Sunnah. We will just act upon it as a good deed, but we will not believe it to be established from the Prophet ﷺ per se, because obviously it's weak. Now, this night is a very blessed night. It comes in narrations that Allah the Almighty, He descends His mercy on this night immensely upon His servants, upon us. Now it's upon us to attract the mercy of Allah the Almighty. So Allah the Almighty, He forgives immensely on this night. However, there are certain people that are unfortunately deprived from the forgiveness of Allah. And who are those people? I will mention a few. It comes in narrations that one of the type of people not forgiven on such a blessed night where Allah forgives immensely is a person who harbors ill thoughts regarding others. So a person who keeps ill thoughts, bad thoughts in his heart, in his mind regarding another brother, regarding another Muslim. Unfortunately, this is so common amongst us Muslims, youngsters, elders, everyone, that we cannot take when another person is excelling. We cannot take another person succeeding in life. We become jealous when a person has got more wealth than us. Why has this person got more cars than me? That's what we think sometimes when another person has more cars. Why has he got such flashy cars? So this is jealousy, and it all ties down to the same thing, harboring ill thoughts regarding others. Specifically talking about jealousy, is such an evil deed that it comes in the narration that jealousy, it eats away our good deeds just like fire eats away wood. So we have come to this world to do good deeds, but when we are doing good deeds, right, at the same time we are jealous regarding another. Now because of that jealousy, our good deeds are being eradicated, and because of that, obviously we are left with nothing, no good deeds at all. So what has the outcome of jealousy done to us? It has got rid of our good deeds. So jealousy is not a good thing, and unfortunately we shouldn't be jealous regarding another. The scholars mention, with regards to worldly matters, wealth, assets, buildings, houses, etc., whatever, we shouldn't look at those people that are above us. We should look at those people that are less well off. We should look at those people that are struck by poverty or are much poor compared to us. But when it comes to religious activities, when it comes to religion, then we should look up to those people that are succeeding more than us, that are excelling much more than us, that are known for their piety, like for example the scholars, the pious elders. We look at them, that this person, he's doing a lot of good deeds. He always performs his salah punctually, 5 times daily prayers. He remembers Allah punctually on a daily basis, so I need to emulate this person, I need to follow his footsteps. So that's what we do in life. When it comes to religious activities, we look at those people that are above us in level, in status. But when it comes to worldly activities, look at those people that are less well off. What will this do? This will help us. Because obviously, why have we come to this world? What is the purpose of our creation? The purpose of our creation, like Imam Sahib was mentioning at the start, is for worship. Allah the Almighty mentions in the Quran, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I have not created jinn, nor mankind, but for my worship. So why have we come to this world? We have come to worship Allah. We have not come to eat, we have not come to drink, we have not come to earn. But then that begs a question. If we have come to this world to worship Allah, then that means we are supposed to be worshipping Him 24/7. But is that even possible? Is it even possible to worship Allah, the Almighty, 24/7? What do you brothers think? Do you think it's possible to worship Him 24/7? Yes? But now the question is how? How is it possible to worship Allah, the Almighty, 24/7? We are human beings, we've got human necessities, we need to eat, we need to drink, we need to go toilet, we need to sleep, we need to earn for our families, we need to put bread on the table for our children if we are married, etc. We've got children, and even for our wives. So how is it possible to worship Allah 24/7? So the answer to this is, it is possible, but how? First of all, before mentioning the answer, we need to remember that Islam is a unique religion. Compared to other religions, Islam is a unique religion in all ways. And in this way, it is very unique, in the way that we can make all our day-to-day activities worship. How? If we carry out everything according to the teachings of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ was such a unique messenger that he left behind teachings for us to carry out and act upon and follow, even to do with our basic human necessities. So for example, the Prophet ﷺ, he even taught us how to eat. He taught us before eating, like it comes in narrations, that we should recite Bismillah, we should recite the dua. That's remembering Allah, and that's worship in itself. Whilst eating, it was a sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ that he used to thank Allah from the depths of his heart. So when we are eating, after consuming every morsel, deep down in our hearts, what do we say? We thank Allah. We thank Allah. We say, oh Allah, I thank you for this food that you have granted me. There are countless people in this world that are not being blessed with this food, but you are blessing me with this food. So I thank you. And we don't have to say it verbally, because obviously we're going to be eating. Just say it in your heart, and it's like you are kind of secretly talking and communicating with Allah the Almighty. So that's what we're supposed to do. So this is a sunnah act, and this becomes worship, and it makes our food worship. Then the Prophet ﷺ, he taught us du'as after eating as well, like Alhamdulillah alladhi at'amana wa saqana wa ja'alana muslimin, and countless du'as. Alhamdulillah alladhi at'ama wa saqa wa sawwaghahu wa ja'ala lahu makhraja. Now when we recite these du'as, then our eating becomes worship. And we shouldn't just recite these du'as for the sake of it. We should learn the meanings of these du'as as well, so we understand the true essence of these du'as and we understand the true meaning. Likewise, before drinking, the Prophet ﷺ taught us that before taking the first sip, recite Bismillah. After taking one sip, recite Alhamdulillah. After drinking, whether it's water or drink, the Prophet ﷺ also taught us a dua. Alhamdulillah alladhi saqana adban furatan bi rahmatih wa lam yaj'alhu milhan ujajan bi dhunubina. So the Prophet ﷺ taught us dua. He taught us how to carry out even basic human necessities, day-to-day activities he taught us. So for example, even before traveling, the du'as, what we should recite. Even when going to the toilet, before going to the toilet, what we should recite. How we should conduct our affairs with our family members, with our friends, with neighbors, with people outside. So in short, if we do everything according to the teachings of the Prophet ﷺ, then our whole day becomes worship. 24/7 we can make it worship. It comes in one narration that if a person, he performs his Isha prayer and his Fajr prayer with congregation, with Jama'ah, then he gets the reward of worshipping for the whole night. So that's our whole night gone in worship, just because of acting upon this. So this is what I mean by our religion being unique, that we can make our whole life worship. 24/7, everything we can make it worship, and we can act upon our purpose of creation. Now going back to, we were mentioning about harboring ill thoughts. On the night of 15th of Sha'ban, a person who harbors ill thoughts, he has jealousy, etc., he is not forgiven. So we need to stay away from this. We need to think about our afterlife. We need to think that we've got a deeper purpose in life, and that is to worship Allah, to keep Allah happy. And we've got no time to be jealous regarding others. We've got no time to harbor ill thoughts regarding others. We need to show unity amongst us, brotherhood, etc. And act upon these teachings. Now another person that is not forgiven on this blessed night is a person who drinks alcohol. A person who drinks alcohol. And to some this may seem as something small and light, but unfortunately not just youngsters, even elders are drinking alcohol in this day and age, especially youngsters. We think it to be some minute act. We think it to be something small, drinking alcohol. But drinking alcohol, it destroys a person. Not only are we deprived from the forgiveness of Allah on special nights like this, but it destroys us as a whole. Just imagine you were drinking alcohol and you passed away in that state. Would you like to pass away in the state of drinking alcohol? It comes in one narration that the state in which a person passes away, that's the same state that he will be resurrected in on the Day of Judgment. So if you pass away in the state of drinking alcohol or being drunk, then remember on the Day of Judgment, that's exactly the same state that you are going to be resurrected in front of Allah. And do you really want to be resurrected in the state of being drunk or drinking alcohol in front of Allah on the Day of Judgment? No, you don't. And this is away from all the evils and harms that alcohol has with it as well. It comes in one narration that the alcohol is the root of all evil. Why? Because when a person he drinks alcohol, it leads him to do so many wrongs. He'll be swearing black and blue, not just to normal people, his friends, his parents, his family members, etc. He will destroy society, he will destroy everything around him. You've seen how drunk people act. So, when Islam, Allah and the Prophet ﷺ tell us to do something or prohibit us from doing something, there's deeper reasons behind it. It's not something that, we take it light and small. Now, moving on, another person that is not forgiven on this night is a person that does not respect his parents. Unfortunately, many of us, we disrespect our parents and we take this as something light as well. But this is a grave sin. Allah the Almighty in verses in the Quran, He emphasizes, He indicates to the importance of the parents, the virtues that the parents hold and how we should be respecting them, how we should be holding them in high esteem. We will only truly value our parents when we lose them. Ask those brothers and sisters that have lost their parents, that don't have parents. Ask them the value of parents. And unfortunately we come out with terms such as he's my old man, stuff like this. This is not something light. This shows how disrespectful we are deep down to our parents. It comes in the Quran that we shouldn't even be saying oof to our parents, meaning that we shouldn't even say anything minor. Parents, they may be in the wrong sometimes as well because of some cultural differences, etc. They've been brought up maybe in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and we're brought up here. So there may be a cultural clash, but we have to come to terms and understanding that they brought us up. Our mother kept us in her womb for 9 months. They brought us up, they fed us, they give us everything, they give us shelter. So we need to remember this, we need to respect them for this, and we certainly shouldn't be depriving ourselves from the mercy of Allah through disrespecting our parents. With regards to fasting on the 15th of Sha'ban, meaning in the morning after Fajr Salah, well, like mentioned at the start, the narrations regarding this are weak, so it won't be sunnah to fast. However, if we want to fast, we can fast, but it will just be a supererogatory act, an extra act, just like a nafil act. At the most, we can maybe say it's mustahab to fast, preferable. However, because the narrations are weak, so we will not say it's sunnah to fast, so we don't have to fast. However, in this month of Sha'ban, the Prophet ﷺ, he used to fast excessively. Why? In preparation of Ramadan. He used to fast excessively. So if we fast acting upon the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ saying that he used to fast excessively, then I am also fasting, then inshallah we will get reward for acting upon that sunnah. But deep down, the fasting is not sunnah on the day of 15th of Sha'ban. Now there's a lot of other misunderstandings in our society with regards to this day, where some people think that we have to visit the graveyards, we have to do certain acts, we have to distribute sweets amongst our relatives. But all this and all these type of acts are baseless, they've got no basis behind it, so we don't need to do this. We can visit the graveyard whenever we want. It's not necessary to visit just on the 15th of Sha'ban. If we want to go on the 15th of Sha'ban, yes, we can go, but we don't go thinking that it's sunnah and thinking that it's necessary. So this is in short about 15th of Sha'ban. Now what we have to understand is that there's only 2 weeks left for Ramadan approximately. So we need to prepare ourselves as much as possible for Ramadan. You know, when it comes to worldly things, we prepare way in advance. For example, when someone's getting married, then he'll prepare, especially in this day and age, 1 year in advance. He'll make sure he collects the money, he makes sure the venues are correct, etc. So when it comes to worldly things, we prepare way in advance. But when it comes to religion, we lack. We are unaware, or we don't show the same kind of eagerness that we're supposed to show. And like we mentioned earlier, that we've come to this world to worship Allah the Almighty. So if we are truly fulfilling our purpose of creation, then we are supposed to be preparing for those acts that have been ordained upon us. Where Allah the Almighty, He mentions, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykum as-siyam, O believers, fasting has been ordained upon you. Why? لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you attain piety. And he also mentions before that it's not something that has just been ordained upon you, but it's something that was ordained on people before you, on the nations before you as well. They used to fast as well, but obviously in different ways. So don't think that it's something that I'm just making compulsory upon you, but the people before you also used to fast. And the main reason that Allah is making us fast, so that we adopt the quality of taqwa, inculcate into us the quality of taqwa. Taqwa means God-fearing, God-consciousness, piety, fearing Allah, knowing that Allah is looking at us 24/7. Taqwa has a very deep meaning, and it was very well explained by a companion known as Ubay ibn Ka'b radiallahu anhu. Ubay ibn Ka'b radiallahu anhu, once he was asked by someone that what does taqwa mean? So Ubay ibn Ka'b radiallahu anhu, rather than responding, he said to the person, the questioner, that have you ever passed a pathway where there are thorns and prickles? So then that person said, yes, many a times I've passed such a pathway where there are thorns and prickles. So then Ubay ibn Ka'b radiallahu anhu asked that person, the questioner, that when you pass such a pathway, how do you pass? So then that person, he responded by saying that when I pass a pathway which is full of thorns and prickles, I pass in such a way that I make sure that my clothes do not get stuck in the prickles, in the thorns. I make sure I do not get injured, my skin does not get injured, I do not get marks, etc. So I pass in such a good, cautious way where I make sure I do not get injured, harm, my clothes do not get stuck in the nettles, etc. So then Ubay ibn Ka'b radiallahu anhu, he said that is exactly what taqwa is. That a person, he lives his life in such a way where the thorns and prickles, they are the sins, they are the evil deeds, they are the shayateen and our desires, those things that are evil and trying to attract us to the evil things. So those are the thorns and prickles of life. We need to avoid those things and live life in such a way where we stay on the straight path, the path of Islam, the path of the teachings of the Prophet ﷺ, acting upon the orders of Allah and the Prophet ﷺ, staying away from the prohibitions of Allah and the Prophet ﷺ. So staying on the straight path, staying away from all these evils and vices, that is what taqwa is, where we always stay on the straight path. So that's what we need to inculcate into ourselves. And that's what this fasting, inshallah, this month of Ramadan is like a warm-up. Just like when we play a game of football, normally what do? We warm up beforehand. Why? So that we do not suffer from cramp later on. We do not have muscle pains, muscle aches. So likewise, this month of Ramadan is like a warm-up. It's 1 month from the whole year. From the 12 months, it's only 1 month. So it's like a warm-up for the remaining 11 months. If we prepare for Ramadan properly, and then in Ramadan we carry out the activities properly, the good deeds, the worship properly, then hopefully it will warm us up for the whole year. So that's what we need to do. Make sure we benefit from Ramadan and make sure we act upon all the duties that we have to act upon, the obligations in Ramadan.